Good morning, everyone. So in yesterday's class of object-oriented programming, we discussed about the concept of classes and objects. And in this particular class, we are going to cover some more topics such as friend function and constructors. So let's get started. So this will be the agenda for today's class. We are going to discuss about friend function as a bridge between classes, friend class, constructors, the types of constructors, and finally destructors. Now let us start with what is friend function. So basically friend function of a class is just like a function and it can be declared outside the scope of the class, but also it has the privilege to access all the private and protected members of that class. Okay, so if we consider a normal function and if that particular function is made like outside some class, then obviously that particular function will not be able to access the private and protected members of any class, right? So in order to access these private and protected members, what we have to do, we have to make a friend function. We have to make a function the friend of that particular class. So that's the concept of this topic. So basically, it is used to access the private and protected members of a class, which we cannot do otherwise, right? So, when a function or class is declared as a friend of another class, then you are actually granting some special access to it. And what it is doing, using that special access, it is able to get the access over the private and protected members of the class. Now, a friend function can be the member of some other class also, and it can be an individual function also. So a friend function can be a global function. That means it may not belong to some particular class. Secondly, it can be a member function of another class also. So these two options we have, and these are the syntaxes for both the options. In first option, that is for a global function, what syntax we have? We have to write the keyword friend, we have to write the return type following by the function name and the arguments. So this will be the syntax for a global function. If we talk about the concept of member function which belongs to some other class, then what will be the syntax here? Again, we will write friend function, then the return type. This is the additional thing that you write. You will write class function and the scope resolution operator. Now, why there's a need to write this particular segment here is to let your C++ compiler know that, okay, which class this particular function belongs to, because you are actually declaring this friend function inside the class, so your compiler does not know that if it belongs to some other class or not. So if you are writing the class of that particular friend function following by the scope resolution operator, so using it, your C++ compiler will be aware that this particular friend function belongs to what class, right? So this will be the function here. Now I have taken this basic example of how you can use a friend function or how you can create a friend function. So in order to create a C++ program, we have to write, first of all, you have to write hash include iostream following by using namespace std. So we all know that these two lines will be common in all the C++ programs. Then you have to create one class. Here the name of the class is base, right? So in this base class, I have created some private and protected data member. So you can see here we have one private data member A and one protected data member B. We also have one public function here which is base. Now this is the concept of constructor function here. Why? Because the name of this particular member function is same as your class name, right? So basically this is your constructor function. So this topic also we are going to cover in later slides. So this is constructor function. Now in this constructor function, the assignment of the values of A and B is happening here. And at the end of this class, we are declaring our friend function, that who is the friend of this class. So there's a function frn, and we are saying that frn is the friend of this particular class. Now, as discussed earlier, What will be the syntax here? The syntax will be friend keyword, the return type which is void in this particular case, the name of the function which is frn, and in bracket we will write the arguments here. Okay. Now here, next we will give the definition of a friend function. So this is the definition of friend function. So we have just declared that this will be our friend function, but in order to give the definition of this friend function, we have to come outside our class because the scope of the class ends here with this particular semicolon. Now in friend function definition, we will again write the return type, the name of your function following by the arguments. In this function definition, we will write whatever stuff we want to write or what we want to execute in this friend function. And finally, we will write our main section. So this is our main section, which is also known as driver code. So in main section, which starts with int main and ends with return 0, first of all, we will create one object, right? So how to create an object? We will write class name following by object name. So this is our class name base and our object name is object1. So this is how we have created our object, object1. Now when we create our object, what happen is a constructor function automatically is called. So in previous classes, we didn't have such kind of constructor functions that we have declared here. So it is the purpose of C++ compiler, it's a role of C++ compiler to actually create the constructor function of its own. Okay, it will automatically create the constructor function and then it will call it to give some default values. But in this particular case, we have declared our constructor function here. So as soon as we are creating our object, object1 for the class base, what happens is this constructor function will get called here. Now in this constructor function, for the object, object1, the values of a and b are assigned. So when this object is created and this constructor function gets called, we will assign the value of a and b for object1. So object1 dot a will become 10 and object1 dot b will become 99. So this will happen at the end of this first line. Now in second line, what we are doing is we are calling our friend function. So the name of the function is frn. We are calling this friend function. Okay. And what are we passing in the arguments? In the argument, we always have object. So whenever we talk about friend function, we always have object as an argument. So this is the basic crux of using friend function, that we have to pass objects as arguments. Okay. So here, what was our object? Our object was object1. So we are passing object1 as argument when we are calling our friend function. So I'm passing the entire object1 here as an argument. And what is the value of object1? That we have just assigned to object1 using the previous line, that is this particular line, right? So object1.a is 10 and object1.b is 99. Both of these values will be carried as an argument to our friend function. Now what is happening in friend function? In this friend function, the values that we are carrying here as an argument, that is object1, this is our actual parameter. So this object1 is our actual parameter. So we know that whenever any function is getting called, your actual parameters are copied into your formal parameters. So here, this is your formal parameter. So because you are calling this function, so your actual parameter will get copied into your formal parameter. So the values of object1.a and object1.b will be copied into obj. So now here obj.a will become 10 and obj.b will become 99, because basically we are copying the contents of object1 into obj. Okay. So this will happen here. Now because object1 is an object and obj is also an object, so we know that the data type of an object is always your class name. So the data type of object1 is base, so the data type of obj will also be base. That's why I have written base here. inside this friend function, what is happening? We are just displaying the values of obj.a and obj. We know that obj.a is 10 and obj.b is 99. So we are displaying it using cout. So using cout, your private variable obj.a will have 10 values. So 10 will be printed here. And in the next line, protected variable at obj.b value is 99. So it will display all these values here. Now, how we are able to access A and B, because A and B are private and protected members. So in normal circumstances, if there was no friend function, then in that particular case, we won't be able to like access these private and protected members. So how we are able to do that? With the help of friend function, because we have made this function frn the friend of this particular class. That's why we are able to access these private and protected members inside your friend function. So that's the benefit of using friend function, that using friend function you can access the private and protected data members of your class. So this is how this program work, and at the end it will give you the result 10 and 99. Now there's one more program. So this is another technique using which you can easily use your friend function. So the first two lines are the same. Now here we have two classes. First one is class A and second one is class B. So this is your class A and this is your class B. Now this is class B. Inside class B, you are using a function func. And inside the class A also, you are using this same function func. Okay, that belongs to class B. That's why you have written B and scope resolution here. In order to let your C++ compiler know that func function actually belongs to which class? It belongs to class B. So func function belongs to class B and it is a friend to class A as well. That's why I have declared it as a friend in the class A. Okay. Now here inside this func function, if you notice, I have written A here, okay, because the data type of this object obj must be A. Now that's why I have written this class A at the starting. Okay, so this is known as forward definition. Now what was the need for using this forward definition? Because if we don't use it and we directly make this class B and our C++ compiler encounter this A here, so our compiler will get confused that what is this A, because we have not told our compiler yet that what was this A all about. So we have to let our compiler know that this particular A is actually a class name. Okay, that's why this forward definition is needed. Now this is our class B and this is class A, and inside class A we are using the function of class B which we have already declared here. Okay, we have declared this function here, but we are defining this function outside the class. We can do that. We have already learned it in the previous lectures, so we can easily do. So in order to do that, we just have to give the class name and scope resolution operator in order to give the definition of this particular function. So this is a friend function and also it belongs to some other class. Okay, so we had two scenarios. One was global friend function and another one was that the friend function that belongs to some other class also. Okay, so here our friend function is not an individual function but it belongs to class B. So we have defined here, we have declared it here and we have defined it outside the class. So when we want to define our function outside the class, we have to give the class name and scope resolution operator. So we have given the class name and scope resolution operator here. This is the name of our friend function. This is the return type. These are the arguments. And the same thing we are doing here, that is displaying the value of obj.a and obj.b. Now this is our main section. In main section, we are creating two objects. We are creating object 1. We are creating object 2. Now, first object that we are creating belongs to class A. The second object we are creating belongs to class B. Now using the first object that belongs to class A, we are calling the assign function. So there must be some assign function here in class A. So this is class A, there's assign function here. So we are calling this assign function like this. Okay, so when we call this assign function, what will happen? For object 1, we are calling this assign function. So object 1 dot A will be 10 and object 1 dot B will be 99. After this particular line, after this function call, this will happen. Now using second object which belongs to class B, we are calling the friend function func. Okay, so using object 2. Now this function belongs to which class? It belongs to class B. This friend function belongs to class B. That's why we have to call this function using the object of class B only. That's why we have created this object 2 of class B, and using this object 2 we are calling our friend function. So we are calling this function like this, and we are passing the first object as an argument. So object 1, that means these two values we are passing as an arguments here, and these two values, actually this object is your actual parameter. So we know that actual parameter will be copied into your formal parameter. So the values of object 1.a and object 1.b will be copied into obj. So obj.a will become 10 and obj.b will become 99, and again you will display these two values, and these two values were private and protected members of class A. Still you were able to access these private and protected members using your friend function which belong to some other class, that is class B. So this was the basic idea about how you can use friend function who actually belongs to some other class. Okay, so in the previous example, the friend function was an individual function. It was a global function. It didn't belong to any class. But in this particular scenario, the friend function belongs to class B and it is a friend of class A. So this is how it works here. So this is one more way in which we can use friend function. Here we are using friend function as a bridge between two classes. Okay, so there is an individual function. It does not belong to any class, but we can actually use that particular friend function in order to form a bridge between two classes. So here we have two classes, that is XYZ and ABC, and this particular friend function max is actually a friend function of class XYZ also and class ABC also. You can see here that it is a friend here and it is a friend here. Okay, and here also we are required to do this forward declaration, because when we make this friend function we have to give this class ABC here. So our compiler will not know otherwise that what is this ABC all about. So that's why we have a requirement to forward declare our class at this particular stage. Okay, so this is our friend function and this is our main section. So what are we doing here? We are first of all creating an object small abc of our class ABC. So this is our class ABC. We are creating an object of it. So of course there is no constructor function there, so nothing gets called. And then when we are creating the second object small xyz for the class capital XYZ, so this class object is also created here. Now for this particular object XYZ, we are calling the function set data and passing the value 20. So it will this particular function will get called set data because XYZ is calling, so the set data of XYZ class will get called. And in the argument we have taken 20. So 20 is copied into A, and then the value of X will become 20 at this stage. And because XYZ has called it, so XYZ dot X will become 20. Now in this particular line, we are calling set data again, but using another object ABC and carrying the argument 35 here. So this is our ABC class, and ABC class had the object small abc. So basically we are calling this set data and carrying the value 35. So 35 will be copied into A and then it will copy to Y. So the value of Y is 35 and ABC has actually called this function. So ABC dot Y will become 35 like this. Okay. Now this is the main line here where we are calling our friend function. So we are calling this particular friend function here, and we are carrying the value, both the objects xyz and abc. That means this particular value and this value, we are carrying both of these values with us to our friend function. Okay, so the first value, the value of xyz. So xyz dot x is equals to 20. So this 20 will be copied to t1. Okay, t1. So t1 dot x will become 20. And second argument is abc. So abc dot y is 35. So now t2 dot y will become 35 here. And because x small xyz belong to which class? It belong to capital XYZ. That's why I have written capital XYZ here. And small ABC object belong to which class? It belong to capital ABC. That's why I have written the data type capital ABC here. Now we have these two values, and now we will do the comparison between these two values in order to find that which particular value is maximum out of these two. So we are comparing if t1 dot x is greater than t2 dot y. So t1 dot x is 20 and t2 dot y is 35. So obviously this condition is not true. That's why we will go to the else part, and we will display the value of t2 dot y. So t2 dot y is 35. So it will give us that the maximum value is 35. So these two values, where these came from? So the first value came from here, and the second value came from another class. So that's why we can use this friend function as a bridge between these two classes, because this friend function is carrying these two objects from two different classes. So it is carrying values from both the classes. Okay, so that's why it is acting as a bridge between these two classes. So this is how this program will work, as a bridge between two classes. So this is also one of the functionality of friend function. Now one more concept is there, that is function class. So what is function class? Again, the first two values are the same, and then we are having one class A is here, and this is another class, class B, and then we have main section. Now instead of making our friend function, what we will do, we will make the entire class as a friend. We are not making one particular function from the class as a friend of some class. What we are doing is we are making the entire class the friend of some other class. Okay, so how are we doing that? Now this is class A, and we are making class B the friend of class A. So this is class B. Now because we are making class B the friend of class A, so class B objects can easily access the private and protected members of class A now. Okay, so let's see how we are doing it. So first of all, we are creating the object of class A. So obj1 is the object of class A, and then creating second object obj2 of class B here. Now we will call the function assign for obj1. So obj1 was the object of class A. So assign function that is present inside your class A will get called, and you will assign the value of x and y here for obj1. So obj1 dot x will be 10 and obj1 dot y will be 99 after this particular line, and then we will call the display function that actually belongs to class B. So you will call this display function here in this class B, and you will carry the object as an argument. So obj1 we will carry, which is the object of class A. That means these two values will get carried to your function display. Okay, obj1 dot x and obj1 dot y. Now t dot x will become 10 and t dot y will become 99. Okay, and what was the class of obj1? The class of obj1 was capital A. That's why the data type written here is also capital A. Now what is happening in this particular function? So this is not a friend function. This entire class is a friend class. Okay, so that's why I have not written anything here related to like it is a friend function or not. It is not a friend function, normal function that belongs to class B, which is a friend class of class A. Now here the value of t dot x, that is 10, and the value of t dot y, that is 99. It will be displayed here. Okay, like this. So this is how you work with function class, okay? And how to declare your function class using this very simple syntax. You will write friend keyword, then class, and the name of the class that you want your class to be friends with. So this is how you will write. Next topic is constructors and destructors. So what is constructor? Constructor is a special member function of a class which has the same name as that of a class. So the name of the constructor will have the same name, okay? So it will basically initialize your data members by some default value. So if you don't make any constructor, your compiler will make the constructor on its own. If you are making your constructor, then it will assign the default values that you are providing to your constructor function. Now this will be the syntax of your constructor function. This is a class. So class name, there will be private members. You will always declare your constructor function under the public section, okay? So the name of the constructor function is always your class name, okay? That you need to remind of, and this is your constructor body. So this is the basic syntax. And this is one example in which you are just generating a class. It has some private members and it has some constructor function. Now you can just notice here that the name of the class is the same as your constructor function. Now the categories of constructors, we have default, parameterized, copy, and dynamic. We have already discussed about the default constructor in the previous programs also. We had the constructor function. So that was the basic idea behind the constructor function. This is parameterized. The default constructor does not have any arguments, but your parameterized constructor always has some arguments inside it. And copy constructor is basically used to copy the content of one object into another object. So for that purpose, you will use this reference sign. So whenever you use this reference sign inside your constructor function, that means this is a copy constructor. Okay? So you have to write this ampersand sign following by the object name. And what is destructor? It is just the opposite thing you can say from the constructor. It is used to destroy the object. It is not used to create the object. It is used to destroy the objects, and you have to add this tilde in order to denote that this is a destructor function. So destructor also has the same name as your constructor and as your class, but it has this tilde sign, and this tilde sign denotes that this is a destructor and it is used to destroy your objects in order to free your memory. Okay, so destructor has the same name as class with tilde operator, and it cannot be overloaded. It has no arguments and it has no return type or return value. Okay, so it is used whenever you want to destroy your object, to deallocate your memory, and once your destructor gets called, basically it gets out of scope when your program ends, or when your function get you out of scope. So this is how your destructor works. So these will be the references from which you have to continue about these topics, where you can learn about these topics. Now let's go through some online compilers that you can go through in order to learn about, or in order to compile these programs, execute these programs. You can use some software as well, such as Dave C++. There are so many softwares available nowadays. If you don't have access to any software installed in your system, then you can use your C++ compiler. This is one example. So you can use the C++ compiler. You can put your code inside this segment, and when you run this program, you will receive the output here like this. Okay, so any program there is, you will put that program in this particular segment and you'll get the output here in this screen. If you want to search for some new videos over the C++ or programs related to object-oriented programming, then you can easily look over that. So I'm putting this C++ related programs. So there are some videos here that will give you the tutorials about how to learn about object-oriented programming. You can go through these videos as well. There are some videos in NPTEL also. So I'm putting NPTEL. So you can see NPTEL, you have courses as well. Along with it, you have some videos also. So let's go through videos. So there are various video lectures of NPTEL. So you can go through those video lectures also if you have any kind of doubt. Okay. So by this, I would like to end this lecture. This is all about this lecture. We are going to end this now, and in the next class, we are going to learn in detail